Characters are the heart of every great story. They guide us, intrigue us, and make us feel connected to the world of the narrative. But how exactly we define characters? And how the writers bring them to life through characterizations? Hello, I'm Ngestirosa. We meet again a second meeting of an introduction prose subject. Well, in this subject, there are two objectives that we like to discuss. The first one is to define characters and characterization, and the second one to explain some example of describing characters and characterizations. Let's take a look on the discussions of characters and characterizations. In simple explanations, character can be explained as a person in a literary work, and characterizations can be explained as the way in which a character is created. Let's discuss the things one by one completely. In the novel, character and characterizations can be recognized easily. In drama, we can also recognize characters and characterizations. But in novel, characters and characterizations are explained clearly. Character actually are the persons represented in dramatic and narrative work, who are interpreted by the reader as possessing particular moral, intellectual, emotional qualities by inferences from what the person says and their distinctive ways of saying it in the dialogue, and from what they do in the action. The ground in the character's temperament, desire, and moral nature for their speech and action are called their motivation. Well, the example can be straight from characters. There are some examples. The first one is consistent and static characters. Before we go further about the examples, we like to discuss these as the first example. The first one, in consistent and static characters, these characters actually the one that whose outlook, personality, and disposition remain stable from the beginning to the end of narrative. Their belief or values don't change despite the challenge they encounter. These characters may serve as moral anchor or fixed point in the story. The next one, I'd like to give you an example from Sherlock Holmes in Arthur Conan Doyle. Do you like these characters? Maybe it's familiar because these characters is actually found in crime fiction novel. As Sherlock Holmes, in the novel is a detective. This detective story is an example of character whose intellect, method, and personality traits remain steady across his many adventures. Sherlock Holmes with his tricky adventure, and then he can find easily the criminal in the story. While the cases vary, his logical, calculating nature remained unchanged. Well, the next one, I'd like to discuss some characters, the example of characters. So we can find kinds of characters in different kind of novel. The first one, maybe you know that one is dynamic and developing characters. Well, these characters actually undergo significant changes or transformations throughout the narrative. This change may occur due to the internal growth, external experience, or both. The change can be gradual or sudden. And the example of these characters you can find in Elizabeth Bennet in Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. She goes through a transformation as she learns to overcome her initial prejudice toward Mr. Darcy. Her gradual realization of her own misconception and her growing affection for Darcy reflect her dynamic nature. And the next one, maybe we can see minor and major characters. Major characters actually is a person or thing that has a big role in the development and configuration of the story. None of these characters causes the absence of the story. All elements belong to the story such as theme, plot, atmosphere, and others. And they are focused on describing this kind of characters. The second one, maybe you like to see minor characters. These minor characters actually exist and to support the major one. A minor character plays only a very small role and contribute to the development and configuration of the story. And the other one, yeah, maybe you can see the famous short story written by Guy Maupassant. Yeah, this is from France. In this story, yeah, the necklace, there is a major character named Madame Mathilde Loisel. She is considered as the major character in the story because her influence is very big toward the whole story. She contributes completely from the beginning up to the end of the story. In the following quotation, it is revealed Matilda's influence and contributions in the story when she has wonderful time of the party and when she should work hard to pay her debt in order to replace the lost necklace. Here is the quotations. The night of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. She was prettier than any other woman present, an elegant, graceful, smiling, and wild with joy. All the men looked at her as her name sought to be introduced. So this is the quotations from the necklace. And these clearly explain that Madame Loisel is the major characters in the story because the whole quotation exactly present her attitude and her appearance. Well, in the necklace actually there is a major and there is also minor characters. And the minor characters actually his husband and also Madame Frenters. But Madame Loisel is the only one major characters in the story. Well, the other one, in the novel maybe you can recognize protagonist and antagonist. Of course, this is the simplest one that you see from the novel. The protagonist actually is not only in the center of the action, but also the chief object of readers' concern. The protagonist sometimes by comparison with competitor or antagonist often become the consuming interest of the story to make him or her complex, unfathomable, or mysterious being. The next one is antagonist. Antagonist is the character of force against which the protagonist struggle. The antagonist may be another character, a culture, and its law or tradition, and natural element on the protagonist divided against himself. Now we see the example of protagonist and antagonist. Maybe you see that one in Pride and Prejudice. The protagonist, of course, in this novel is Elizabeth Bennet. In this novel, most of the event and character are described from her point of view, and readers gain access to new information and insight only when she does something. Elizabeth wants to build an independent life for herself with a partner she truly loves and respects. And the novel, the most story in the novel talk about how Elizabeth Bennet tried to make his life more lively and then trying to find her true love. On the other hand, the antagonist exists in Elizabeth Bennet's mother, that one is Mrs. Bennet, and Lady de Bourgh. The two older female characters work in opposite ways with Elizabeth Bennet. Mrs. Bennet actually tried to force Elizabeth to marry a man she doesn't love, and Lady Burgh trying to stand in the way of Elizabeth marrying a man she does love. So both persons actually debate on the way Elizabeth Bennet finds his truly love. And the next kind of characters is flat and round characters. Flat characters actually is distinguished by its lack of realistic personality. True, the description of flat characters may be detailed and rich in defining characteristics, but it falls short of the complexity associated with round characters. The simple example for flat character you can see for evil stepmother. In all character of stepmother, it will focus to his evil power. This character usually embodies a single characteristic, malice, weakness, and her motivation and action actually straightforward, making her easy to identify as the antagonist. Everybody knows stepmother, and it will focus on only as the evil power. And the next one, round characters. The one is a complex in temperament and motivations and is represented with subtle particularities such as a characters. Therefore, it is difficult to describe with any adequacy as a person in real life. And like real persons is capable of surprising us.
Lampung, the Treasures of Sumatra, is a province that becomes the gateway to the Sumatra Island. Lampung has 2 municipalities and 13 districts, consisting of 234 sub-districts. The province, with an area of 35,587 km squares, owns millions of extraordinary natural beauty. Education in Lampung province is also highly considered and colored by the existence of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia. Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia has 3 faculties and 12 study programs. Faculty of Engineering and Computer Sciences with the 6 study programs: Electrical Engineering, Civil Engineering, Computer Engineering, Information Technology, Informatics, and Information System. Faculty of Economics and Business with 2 study programs: Management and Accounting. Faculty of Arts and Educations with 4 study programs: English Literature, Mathematics Education, English Educations, and Physical Education. Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia believes that education is the key to the advancements of a nation. Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia commits to produce and develop future leaders through the education of quality characters. This receives a very good reception and trust from the community, which is marked by an increasing interest in students from year to year. The students and lecturers have lots of achievements and awards. Also, our quality is recognized by National Accreditation Board for Higher Education and many international collaborations. Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia also prepares the students to face the globalization's era through the use of digital technology. Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia has a number of representative facilities provided to support the learning process, such as comfortable classroom, laboratories, information technology, and the internet. Our vision is to be an excellent university in Sumatra with international standard and able to play an active role in nation building through three pillars of higher education, comprising education, research, and community service. We have graduated outstanding students who can be accepted in state agencies and other large companies. At Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, the students and lecturers are encouraged to create and innovate by creating products and services that benefit the community through research activities and community services. In an effort to achieve its visions and missions, the academics of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia are guided by the organizational culture values of discipline, quality, creative, and innovative. To support the quality of learning processes, we have very complete and sophisticated facilities, including digital-based smart classroom, hotspot in campus area, sport facilities, auditorium, and students' hall. Come and be a part of us, the Campus of Champion, Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia.